important to really fully understand why you should be seriously considering something. So specific to renovations, I mean, there's a couple of different reasons why renovations make sense, but I'm wondering if anyone has any idea on what might be the number one reason why you should really focus on doing these renovations with your property. Anyone have a thought on what the number one reason might be?
Increased rent.
Forced appreciation, yes.
Yes, I heard forced appreciation, I think from Pam in the back, and increased rent. So we are all about ROI here. We're in fact addicted to ROI here. So really, that's kind of, I think, the most important reason in my opinion. And I want to show you guys a slide. So when we talk about forced appreciation, for those that don't know, this is an example of forced appreciation. So I'm giving the example of a fourplex, but if you could take a fourplex, and let's say, the current owner is getting, a couple of $100 a month less than what it could be getting, and you do a proper renovation, if you can get $100 per month times 4 units, that's an additional $400 a month, right? And a lot of people say, okay, $400 a month is chump change, not really that make much of a difference. But when you look at it from a cap rate approach, and from a value standpoint, and from a forced appreciation standpoint, you take that $4,800 per year and you apply a market cap rate of 6%, you just earned yourself $80,000 in forced equity or forced appreciation. So in some cases, we're always running the numbers, right? Does it make sense to spend $50,000 to get 80? Who says yeah? Yeah, no, maybe no, so I'm unsure. I would spend 50 grand to make 80. Yes, thumbs up, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a pretty darn good return on investment. Spend 50, get 80. Now, of course, there's other things to consider as far as these renovations go. And there's really 3 things in my opinion. So number one, there's safety issues, right? So if we're talking about renovations, I look at it and I say there's 3 different types. One is safety issue. So that could be something like you've got a rotten deck, that if the tenant steps out on that and falls down, you've got a massive safety issue and potentially a huge liability. Safety type repairs, unfortunately, typically won't get you more rent, but of course it'll keep you out of lawsuit, and that's kind of what we're looking for, right? The other thing is deferred maintenance, right? So that's something that would be like, the siding is rotting out front. No one's gonna get hurt by that. However, if you ignore it and you just let it hang out there, eventually that siding rot is gonna go inside, and then you could have mold issues, you could have, rodents getting in through holes and things like that. So that's obviously another concern. But we're gonna focus today on updates, and updates specifically for increased income and that forced appreciation. So we're not going to talk about safety type repairs, things like that, because that's going to be very property specific. Same with deferred maintenance. So we're specifically going to talk about that. So Melik is here. I got to tell you guys, so Melik is pretty awesome. I won't stand on my soapbox about contractors because technically I am a licensed contractor. We just don't work for other people. We just do our own type stuff. But Melik is one of those contractors that actually answers his phone. He also emails. He will show up to bid, amazing, and he will actually provide you with a written estimate and follow through. It's amazing. It's like rocket science. He's a unicorn. He's a unicorn. Yes, we love the word unicorn. Stepping out of the space here. But no, so Melik, gosh, I don't know how many kind of joint transactions we've had together. But Melik is pretty darn awesome. And I think the other thing that really makes Melik stand out is that he's not one of those, I'm gonna go in here and tell you that you have to do everything kind of contractors, because that's also kind of annoying, right? Is you want a contractor that can understand the investment side of things, and that you can walk through the property, or as Melik has done on numerous occasions, literally just kind of have a phone conversation with some of these investor clients, and they're on the same page about what's to be done and what's not to be done. So huge plug to Melik here, but he's awesome as far as getting stuff done and with the investment approach. A lot of times we use investment savvy agents or mortgage brokers or things like that, but if we had a category, we probably should create a category, which is investment savvy general contractor. Melik definitely fits that bill. So, all right, Melik, you want to come up and we'll give you the show here?
Sure.
What is
the single biggest what can you actually do in a unit to get the biggest return on that investment? Do you guys know? What's the number one thing you should do first? Kitchen. What about what's the easiest? Paint. And that's going to be the first topic we talk about actually. Paint. And the great thing about it is paint's really accessible. You don't have to have a special license or anything to put some paint on a wall. And if you're in a budget where you can't do anything else, really like the first thing you can do is paint. Paint the walls, paint the trim, paint the doors, and just in that itself you can make the unit look a lot better for a period of time. Sometimes we'll come in and work with investors that don't necessarily have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to spend on a full renovation, but painting everything is definitely should be in everybody's budget, or you can do it yourself. Really, the biggest brands that we've used, and every painter has their own. Once you stick to a certain paint and you like it, you kind of keep using it. What we liked and used over the years is the Bear Ultra from Home Depot, or the Sherwin-Williams. We just like the Pro Model 200, and you can get that in different colors and shades. Those type of paints just flow better, stick better on walls, and we've seen better application, and they stay longer on walls. Primer is another thing. I've noticed a lot of people don't prime their walls. Primer is another thing that I notice a lot of people don't do, and it's a must for darker walls and walls that have texture or new patchwork. You gotta prime it. So if you've never painted, this is just a little note. Anything that's textured new or any putty you apply to walls, just make sure that area is primed, because it's gonna flash. When you come into a room, it's gonna actually flash a little bit, even with new paint. For investors, we've always just painted eggshell everything as far as walls and ceiling. And if you pick a color that's lighter or maybe something neutral, you can get away with just doing walls and ceiling all in one color, and it's going to be a lot faster and cheaper for everybody. Eggshell eggshell is really just it's not too shiny, but it's still washable. I've had investors that have purchased new construction homes thinking that they're going to just be good to go. They move their tenants in, and after the first year with the flat walls, the whole house needs to be repainted. So that's another thing. If you guys do buy like new construction homes, be really careful with those, because pretty much every single one of them has walls that are flat, and they do need a repaint. They're not tenant friendly, so it's just one of those things where builders build. They assume everybody's going to repaint them anyways, because homeowners have their own colors. So it's just one of those things to keep an eye on. For flooring, I wanted to have my buddy over here, Eugene, talk a little bit more about that. He's a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to different types of floorings. But just kind of an overview, one of the things that I also tell people is, you're not just making a home tenant friendly, you're making it more also pet friendly as well. Because a lot of renters, they have pets, and you don't just think about the renters, you got to think about the pets as well. And one of the things that really helps for pets is just having all solid floors, whether it's a LVP, a laminate, vinyl. That's just, from our experience, has been the best choice. Carpet, no matter how good it is, pets will destroy it. They'll figure out a way. So if you're thinking about having a rental property, I would just say spend the extra money on actually doing the floor. Spend a little bit more money on material up front, so that it will last you 15, 20 years, opposed to having to replace a carpet every couple of years. So that's just one, I guess, a little advice I would give on that. And then Eugene's going to talk a little bit more about just different types of flooring. There's obviously, you can buy flooring from $1 a square foot up to $10 a square foot, and there's just different. For a rental type application, I don't think you need to spend $10 a square foot on flooring, but we've had people do that as well.
Hello, I'm Eugene with Tile & More. Oh, right here. Where's that? We'll start off with LVP. I brought a bunch of samples because it's better just to see it and to hear about it. You guys can pass it around, feel it, scratch it, whatever. So LVP is getting really, really popular right now. It's a form of rubber. It's a lot of them have lifetime warranties. They're waterproof, scratch resistant. They're pretty much taking over the market right now instead of laminate. Like 10 years ago, laminate was super popular because it was super cheap. So LVP is a lot better quality, scratch resistant too. It's very, very good for rentals.
Since it's made out of rubber, is there any problems with off-gassing or anything like that with the air quality?
Nope. Okay, Melik passed the laminate around. I don't recommend laminate. It's super cheap, but I wouldn't put it into a rental. Don't do that. LVP runs anywhere from $2. There's some for like $1.50 a square foot, anywhere to $3. So like the really good stuff, I think is $3.20 a square foot. Waterproof, scratch resistant, lifetime warranties. You can't beat that. Just for the product, right? Just for the product, yeah. Installation depends who you go through, but anywhere from $1.50 to $2.50 a square foot.
Just like a regular shower, or, wipe up kids.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, you can put them in bathrooms, yeah. But if a house completely floods, there's nothing that will last that. So if it's gonna stand there for days, there's no product out there that will last that long. Yeah.
You said scratch resistant, so if somebody has a dog or cat,
Yeah.
they won't dig into it?
Nope.
Hardwood floors?
No. It's great. Like I said, it's taking over the market right now. People are going with LVP way more than hardwood or anything else right now. So it's #1 product out there. We sell the most of it. Yeah. At least 10 years, minimum. Minimum 10 years. If you have horrible tenants, so it'll last you a very. We're going to talk about glue down vinyl. So there's 2 different kinds. Felt back. This one is more like paper. This is for flips. Use it more for flips. Very, very cheap. Installation's cheaper. And fiberglass is more for rentals. The reason why fiberglass is better is because it does not curve. So the felt back has a natural curve to it. So over time it peels up. It curls up in the corners. That's why whenever you go to like stay at a hotel or something, if they have vinyl there, it's always peeling up. That's what they got. It's crap. Not gonna lie, it's super cheap, but it looks good. Good for a flip. You can make money on it. This is the good one. Fiberglass. This is a really good polyester. So polyester is actually recycled pop bottles. Just recycled plastic. So very good stuff. It's if you want to go green, this is what you do. Saving the planet, guys. It's more stain proof. And if you look at the twist, when you're picking out a carpet for a rental, look at how it's made. Look at the twist, how good it's twisted at the ends. The better twisted it is, the longer it's going to last you. #1 thing. And I would put this in a rental. This is very, very good for rentals. So if you want it to last the longest, find a polyester that's twisted very well. There's some that are not twisted very well. Just look at the ends. If they come apart, don't do it. You'll replace it within every tenant pretty much. So that'll be horrible. Too much money. One I believe is nylon. Yeah. So nylon is a stronger fiber, keeps color longer, does not break down as fast. Downside of it is though it's harder to remove stains from it than the polyester. So if you're gonna have a rental that they're gonna have a whole bunch of kids or dogs, don't put this in there. So it all depends what you want. Carpet is it's a very evil. You gotta know what you pick and what kind of rentals, what kind of people you're gonna have living there. Very, very tricky. So really do your research. Don't just go in and be like, oh, I want this one feels good. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Do your research about which carpet you pick. It's very, very important. Hardwood. Solid hardwood. The pluses of having solid hardwood in your home. You can do a pre-finished. They're anywhere from $2 to $5. Depends where you buy it. There's even higher prices, but the cool part about pre-finished is you could actually refinish it. So you can have a tenant live there for 5 to 10 years. After that, you can have a refinish, redone, and you don't have to spend a bunch of money. So refinishing costs anywhere from $350 to $6 I've seen. So that's a lot cheaper than, yeah, to refinish. So it's a lot cheaper to do that than replace the whole floor and then buy new product, pay for installation. So it's pretty cool stuff. Engineered hardwood. There's two different types of engineered hardwoods. This is the very, very good one. This is a saw-faced. The difference is this one is cut with a saw. And okay, a peel-faced, they're cheaper. So when you go and go to Home Depot or wherever you guys buy your material, but when you see the difference in prices in engineered hardwood, one is saw-faced and one is what's it called? A peel-faced. So a peel-faced is they're cut with a knife. They're like cut like butter. So when you cut butter, it curls, right? And what they do is they glue it onto the plywood, and over time it peels off. That's why there's a big price difference in it. So they're not too great for rentals. I wouldn't do that. We're trying to sell it more to people that rent houses. This is called hydro-blok. So instead of using cement boards and mud pans, doing it out of mud, we do them out of this. As you can see, this is sloped. And how many of you guys are do-it-yourselfers? Like to do things yourself? So this is a great product for you. It's a very, very easy install. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to tile guys to install this. Very, very easy install. There's step-by-step videos on YouTube. And this is a 10-year manufacturer warranty. It's a condensed foam, 100% waterproof, does not absorb any water whatsoever. The price on it is twice as much as a Hardy Backer, so it's $2 a square foot. But Hardy Backer doesn't have any warranties whatsoever, and this will last you 3 times as long as that. And you can do it yourself. It's super light, amazing product. I love it.
You put the thing continuous throughout, like the bathroom, living room, all the way where you put transition strips, split off the
With LVP?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, yeah. It's, you really have to make sure that you stay away a 1/4 inch from the walls.
Correct.
We see that all the time. If you go tight to the walls, it's a floating floor. It needs to float, and it's gonna be moving. You don't see it moving, but it's moving all the time underneath you. You're walking, you're kicking it, it's gonna move. So you really gotta know how to install it, especially underneath the door jambs. That's the #1 problem I see is people go way too tight. They can't move underneath door jambs, and it bends and goes up, and then we gotta come out. So, but if you're gonna do it yourself, really make sure you stay away from everything. 1/4 inch minimum 1/4 inch. So that's, and it's really easy to install. It's a click together system. So, you know, if you got 1,000 square feet to install, you know, you're gonna pay somebody a minimum of $1,500 to come out and install it when you could do it yourself in 2 days. So it's very, very easy to install. It's lightweight. You don't gotta be a genius.
So the point of just bringing all these materials out is just to show you that there is a difference in price, but also longevity, and that there's a lot of cool products out there right now that, like the LVP, for example. I mean, it's really coming out. They're coming out with better technology that it's cheaper to install for everybody, and it lasts longer than, you know, a lot of even the hardwood products. So that's just something for you guys to think about. Think about the different products. If you're going to be building a portfolio, some of my investors that do kind of a bunch of properties like to keep it all consistent. So that's another thing, is just think about, where are you getting this product? Is it going to be something you can get in 2-3 years from now? Because, you know, even Home Depot, Lowe's, they turn them out. I mean, if they don't sell in 5 years, they have a whole different style, and you're not going to really be able to find it after that. So it's just important to know where to buy the stuff, and if you can get it continually. But even then, I mean, in 10 years, a lot of times the styles change, the designs change, and, you know, people's flavors change.
Sorry, I forgot to say one thing. Another cool thing about LVP is if somebody really jacks up a couple pieces, you can unclick it, just buy an extra 2 boxes, unclick it, replace that board, and click it back, and you can have it for the rest of your life. Yep. So that's, you can't do that with hardwood. So.
That's true. Yeah, repairs is another thing to think about with investment properties. Is you're going to have repairs. You can't control who lives in the house, and stuff happens, damages happen. So the easier the product is to repair, the better. And it's always good to have a couple extra boxes laying around that you can save in the home of everything that you remodel, everything you touch, buy extra, leave it in the home, and it's always easier to repair it and replace it if you have the material on site. Cabinets. So cabinets is also kind of can be a big project, because once you get into kitchen cabinets and bathroom cabinets, you might get into plumbing and electrical. I mean, there's just, it can be a kind of a bigger job, because a lot of times in older homes, what we've done is also kind of rearrange things. So if you notice some of the older homes, designs are all enclosed, they're kind of all boxed in, and now what's popular is more open concept, you know, opening up walls, opening up all sorts of things. So it's just, when it comes to cabinets, sometimes it's one of those things that I would recommend having a professional install, just because there's a little bit more complexity to it than it may seem, especially when it comes to countertop installation and things like that. But if you're carpentry, you know, have carpentry skills and you're inclined to handyman stuff, certainly you can do it. But some of those things, it's just better to have somebody who does it every day do it. And cabinets and countertops installation is one of them. It's nearly impossible for a homeowner to do a good quartz or granite countertop installation. You just don't have the manufactured equipment and tools. And I've seen people buy slabs and try it themselves, and it looks okay. But overall, I mean, if there's corners and seams you got to do, that's just not something you're going to be able to pull off on your own. Just find a good contractor that can do that. We have a bunch of different samples here for quartz. So our favorite countertop is quartz. Just because of the durability and stain resistance that it offers, and really low maintenance. I mean, when you put quartz on, it's a more expensive upfront cost, but it's going to last 15, 20, 30 years with, you know, normal wear and tear and things like that. Other options are laminate. We've also done tile for countertops, but laminate and formica, those are kind of the cheaper end of countertops. But if you're doing just, you know, a countertop upgrade, you can certainly do a laminate or a formica countertop. Just have it in your plans to replace in 5 to 6 years. Sometimes they just don't last as long. We've also done tile, and if you're going to do tile, I would recommend looking for tile that is like a granite tile that can be polished, and you can do a lot of cool countertops out of tile as well. Still cheaper to do than quartz or granite, but then you got to maintain it with the seams of the grout and things like that. So that's something to consider. So for cabinets, let's kind of go back to that. For my investors, really, we have kind of two different people. Sometimes people, they like to spend a little bit more money, and others just want to save, and you can still get decent products regardless. We do a lot of installation of cabinets. There's a bunch of shops in Seattle. I don't know if you guys know, but a bunch of pretty good quality, but they're China manufactured cabinets. And there's a bunch of distributors in Seattle you can get them from. They're fairly inexpensive. I mean, a fraction of the price for what you would pay for just really a little bit of a better product, and it's going to be, you know, 3-4 times more expensive if you go custom cabinets. But we do, for a lot of investors, we do just a basic Chinese manufactured cabinets, and they're pretty good quality actually. Just look. Some of the things to look for cabinets is just make sure that it's wooden panels. That way you can repaint them. If you're thinking about keeping the property for a while, what I've noticed is white shaker, it just doesn't seem to go out of style. It's been popular, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's now still coming back, and we're doing a lot of white shaker. And what I like about it the most is any type of cabinet that you can paint, you can always repaint the doors later. So if they do get wear and tear, which it will, it's easier to paint the doors 5-6 years from now than having to refinish wooden stained cabinets. Those are a lot more expensive to refinish. It takes skills to do a proper wooden refinish cabinet. So anything with stains, I would say for rentals, I mean, it's just, unless it's a good stained cabinet, be careful about those. Yeah?
How would you do repairs on white shaker?
Say it again?
Well, let's say white shaker gets dented or scratched. What do you do? Spray it with an enamel?
Yeah, you can do little touch-ups here and there for white shaker, but ultimately to get a good product, you got to just take all the doors off, especially if they're frameless cabinets where all you see is doors and drawers. There's no gaps in between. Just take all those off, spray them, and put them back. So that's the way to go. So we've done a lot of those.
You put Bondo in, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You put
Bondo,
right?
yeah. Bondo is actually works pretty good for
Not
it's
necessarily wood filler.
wood filler just doesn't.
Bondo.
Yeah, it doesn't sand as good. You're gonna have little still imperfections.
What kind of paint? Would it be like a vinyl or kind of sheen, you think?
We try to go high gloss or semi-gloss, and if you know, there's a lot of different tricks to painting cabinets. We've used oil-based paint for cabinets, water-based paint. You can add even a paint hardener to it. Those are things a more experienced painter would know a little bit more about. It's not something a homeowner can just do all the time. You got to kind of know how to use those different paints. Cabinets, you know, people look at those, and if there's imperfections, you can see it. So I would say if you're ever going to do spraying cabinets for your first time, probably don't do that. You can spray other things, but spraying cabinets is just, it takes a little bit of skills to do it correctly. But you can always foam and roll, foam brush it, and just brush it. That might work too. Older cabinets, older wooden cabinets in the 80s, 70s that have a nice flat panel, you can still repaint those. We've repainted a bunch of them, especially if the inside is not too bad. I mean, if the shelves just need to be replaced, it's still cheaper to replace a couple of shelves. You can just get like even a laminate board or something real cheap. And shelving, it is what it is. It gets wear and tear. But if you have a good older house that has a pretty cool layout, and all it needs is just really a paint job, those just can be sanded and primed and painted, and they look pretty good. And especially with the nice hardware on it, little knobs and handles, that will just give it a more modern look and look pretty good then. The other thing for cabinets, just want to throw this out there, for kitchen cabinets and anything with bathrooms, just go ahead and take a couple extra minutes, or tell your contractor to put some sort of like a vinyl or something that's like water resistant inside anywhere there's sinks. So kitchen sinks and bathroom sinks. That's just something we do for some of the investors we work with, just so they don't have to worry about getting the cabinet damaged in the future. People I've noticed always put wet things underneath the kitchen cabinet. It's like storage for cleaners usually, and sometimes the cleaners get all runny and wet, and then your cabinet gets disgusting. So if you're ever doing a remodel, just think about that. Put a nice little vinyl in floor for the cabinet. Let's see, appliances. Appliances, you know, I always prefer new. New appliances are always the best appliances. There's different brands, and a lot of them are just made by the same manufacturer with different sticker. Whatever you choose, I mean, I don't have a certain preference for either brand. They're all really good now. Just make sure whatever you choose, they have just at least good customer service when something does break. And most manufacturers have at least a 1 year, warranty for their appliances. So if something does go wrong within the first year, pretty much every manufacturer will cover it. You don't have to get special warranty or anything like that. So I've had a good experience with GE. We've had issues with one of their appliances. They came out and fixed it in a couple weeks. It took like 2 weeks. I mean, it is a hassle. But if you want to pay a little bit extra money for the warranties that the store offers, it might save you a little bit of a headache in the future. But it's just one of those things. If you buy a reputable company, you're not going to have any issues for 10, 15 years. Appliances will work. Okay, heat. So another thing for heat is a lot of times if you buy older home, it is what it is. If you got electric heat, you're going to keep it electric, unless you want to spend a lot of money converting it into like a ductless heat pump system. So a lot of times if you have baseboard heaters or wall heaters, those are pretty much going to stay. If you have baseboard heaters and they take up a bunch of room in the room, sometimes people don't like it because they can't get their furniture up close. Then you can certainly convert those to wall heaters where they're a little bit more discreet. The problem with wall heaters is that they need maintenance. I mean, you got to maintain them, you got to clean them out, and a lot of people don't ever do that. They don't ever vacuum them out. Nobody ever takes the cover off and actually vacuums them. And after multiple years of buildup, people start smelling a little bit of fire burn just because of all the dust that's in there. So wall heaters, definitely you need to be proactive. Baseboard heaters, they just have a good track record. I mean, they'll last. We'll do remodels on houses that are 40, like 50 years old, and the baseboard heater still works. It's just unbelievable. So baseboard heaters last a long time, but they just don't look that good, Fireplaces and wood stoves and things like that. If the house actually has one, there's two kind of thoughts on it. A lot of our investors have just completely covered up fireplaces in general, especially if you're going to rent it, just because of tenants sometimes burning paper in the house, burning their trash in the house, and a lot of that stuff just creates a lot of smoke and gets their walls dirty. So sometimes it's more of a mess than we really need. If the property is in a rural area, somewhere out in the woods where power does get cut off often, I would think about having some sort of even a wood burning source of heat or something additional to the electricity, just because when they get that call, if somebody has a furnace that goes out in the middle of nowhere, or the electricity goes out, it's hard to get even a technician to come out quickly. And if they do, they're gonna charge you arm and a leg, and you're gonna wish you had a second source of heat. So something I always try to tell people is, hey, think about 2 sources of heat for the house. And if it's kind of a rural area where there's a chance of power going off and it's only on electric heat and it has a wood stove, maybe leave it. So wood stoves, they are good to have for emergencies. Ductless heat pumps, that's kind of more higher end, I would say. I don't see a lot of it in rentals, but people do love them because they keep the home comfortable year round. I mean, you can have AC, you can have heat throughout the whole year, and they are very efficient systems. They don't take up much electricity, and as far as longevity, they last pretty long time with minimal maintenance. Even we talked earlier about wall heaters and baseboard heaters. They're great and everything, but they are expensive, and tenants do complain about them in the wintertime. I know this last winter, or 2 winters ago, when we had a really cold winter, people were like, are you sure this, especially like duplexes, everybody's like, are you sure I'm not tied in with my neighbor's electricity? My bill is too high. And it just, these wall heaters, they never turn off. And sometimes people just leave them on all day, go to work, and they're just running. And they rack up, several $100 bill. And then they think the neighbor's stealing their electricity.
Is there a better way to thermostat those wall heaters?
Programmable thermostats?
Can you do that on one of those?
Yeah.
In wall heaters?
You'd have to have an additional wire run so that at least it has an upper, thermostat unit. So there is a way to do that. They're a little bit more expensive for thermostats, and a lot of times tenants will, not know how to program them, or the instructions are missing, and then they'll call the property manager or the owner, and then you got to send somebody down. So a lot of times we've just done the knobs, and that's kind of what we usually do for rentals.
So has anyone done a water conservation report or seen one? Okay, so they're more typical in larger apartment complexes because you've got a lot more units and a lot more people using water. Fannie Mae also has a program where you can actually get a lower interest rate by doing that, but specifically for single meter duplexes or even fourplexes, that can be a big deal. So a lot of times when we're talking about a renovation, this kind of just gets put to the side, right? A lot of people don't think about toilets and aerators and low flow shower heads and things like that, but it can make a huge difference. So in those cases, a lot of times, you as the landlord, you're paying that water bill, right?
Yeah.
And the tenants are just kind of, free to use whatever they want. And I don't know what the cost difference is like on a per toilet basis, because I think every toilet's a little bit different. But if you had to guess, I'm just gonna put you on the spot, from like a regular maybe 80s toilet, 5-gallon, right, or whatever, to one of the new low flow, what would you think that water bill difference would be?
Over time, like in a month
Or
period?
on a monthly basis, yeah.
I mean, it could be a difference of 10 to 20 bucks.
Yeah.
Around there.
And those new low flow toilets are cheap
They're
and
like 1.3 gallons per flush. So
at cost.
they're about $100 a toilet.
Yeah.
So
really, if you have that ability to change the water bill by like 20 bucks a month per unit, and you're spending $100 to replace the toilet to get a new low flow toilet, I mean that's huge. You're gonna pay yourself back in right 5 months.
Yeah, toilets must change. Yeah, for older houses especially, we go so many times to just do a repair on a toilet. When it's like, man, I wish we would just grab a new toilet with us. I mean, it's almost the same cost to repair this 80s toilet than it is to just put a new one in, so. That's another one, actually.
Yeah, I know, we didn't even cover that because it's,
I could do a whole class on just toilets anyways.
But yeah, the other thing too, so you pretty much go to any water district and they actually have, for free, aerators that you can pick up. They also a lot of times have like low flow shower heads. Anytime I have to go by, I like stock up and they're like, do you have all these rentals in this district? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. But anyways, that stuff is available for free. So pretty much any water district. Yeah, so City of Everett, City of Mukilteo, City of wherever, any water district, if you just happen to be by there or going by, you can even, I'm sure, call them or check online.
You can sign up on the website and we'll just mail it to you.
Yeah, PUD, I think we'll do that. Yeah, so like literally you guys may have those for free. And again, even if it changes the water bill, you know, $5, $10 a month doing those aerators, again, if you take that cap rate approach on it, I mean, you're, you know, changing the value of your property because now you're improving that net operating income, and that makes a huge difference. So especially, like I said, I love free and saving money, so that's huge. But that's something that not many people talk about. I mean, they're out there. Like I said, there's just, you know, packets available at the water districts. So as you guys are, you know, doing those kind of things, and that's also something that's really easy if you already have tenants in the property. Super easy to go, you know, screw in the aerators, change out the shower head. Toilet's a little bit different, but yeah, if you have a plumber going by or, you know, something like that, that's definitely something that you should add to your checklist or something that you should implement right away, because that savings could be huge. So.
Yeah, just real quick, we're talking about water, and another thing is a lot of older houses, they had, you know, duplexes or triplex or fourplex that were maybe converted, you know, by somebody. And a lot of times the water meter is usually on one unit or for the entire building. We've done actually quite a bit of separating by adding meters. So we've done a couple fourplexes where if we know where the water heater's at and where the main line runs, we can do pretty good successful separation by adding aftermarket meters. That somebody does have to check on them every month, though. You gotta have, but it's still pretty cool because you can do it digitally without having to go into a unit. You can have the actual sensor outside. You just walk by and scan it, and that way you can at least separate the water usage. If one tenant is using it way more than everybody else, you can bill them for that. So just an FYI for people that do have fourplexes or duplexes that have one water bill. You can probably separate those most of the time.
The other thing too is if you have the ability to lower the utility bills, your tenants are going to stay longer. Kind of like what Melik said, if they're paying a fortune every winter, you're probably not going to have that tenant renew. I've had that happen on our rentals. I think it was the baseboard heater issue that wasn't turning off. And as soon as we fix that, then, you know, tenants are staying longer. So definitely, you know, watch out for those things. So we've been talking about Oklahoma City, and so we're actually going there in July. We have a group trip planned in July, and really how that came up. So Dina and I, we are like the market guinea pigs. So we've been to Detroit, we've been to Nashville, we've been to Memphis, we've been to Oklahoma City and Indianapolis, and we started to get people saying, hey, can we go with you guys? And we're like, okay, how does that work? How do we bring people with us to go check out all these markets? So we actually made it happen. So July 13th through the 15th, a lot of you guys in this room, I'm super excited that you guys are all joining us in Oklahoma City. We've got some kind of top secret fun activities planned. It's also going to be a great networking opportunity. I can attest to, I go on trips. I was in Dallas last weekend. I'm going to Florida this weekend. I fly all over the place to these different little conventions, literally just to meet people that I wouldn't have the ability to meet in my own backyard. And I can say that even if the event, I've kind of been to some events that kind of just sucked, but I've always met at least one person, right, Locke? You guys go to a lot of events too, that like, literally, I don't want to say changed my life, but like, I'm either, you know, a business partner on with other things, or we're working on apartments together, or they somehow added value to me, I added value to them. So really, we're kind of creating this for that reason as well. We've got some investors flying in from Hawaii, we've got a lot of local people, we've got some just killer people in Oklahoma City. We've got this builder guy that builds a ton of houses. We've got a flipper that's coming in, a lot of buy and hold people that you guys can network with. If Oklahoma City is a market that you want to be in, you can ask the locals like, hey, where do you buy, what do you do, how does it work, can I get your vendor contacts, all of these different things. So July 13th through the 15th, we're all going down there. Like I said, there's networking. We're going to have the speakers for part of the day. And then the other part of the day, we're getting in these big, nice air-conditioned buses and looking at a lot of these off-market opportunities. So we're going to have buy and hold opportunities, apartment complex opportunities, flip opportunities. We'll probably look at some of the new construction stuff. Basically, it's going to be a really good time. So if you guys are interested, Dina has all the information on that. We have a few tickets left. And if we just have a ton more people that want to come, we can kind of up the capacity a little bit and have some room. But we kind of wanted to keep it small just to kind of get that networking side of it. So anyways, that is coming up in July. And then the next event, so we have a webinar coming up June 12th. My friend from Dallas, Eric, this guy studied economics at the PhD level. He's like brilliant. He's got over, I think, 500 units himself, apartment syndicator, just super brilliant guy, like I said, from Dallas. He also invests in the Massachusetts area. So we're doing that on the 12th. You can see that in meetup.com if you guys want to sign up for that. There's just a little link thing to do that. Ready to invest, need some connections. Our website is agentsinvest.com. Dina is the gal who will probably connect you and talk to you about different things. She does like consultations on different strategies. So if you guys are looking to do BRRRR or build to rent or new construction or supported living or apartments or whatever you want to do, basically Dina is the gal to help you do that. But first we like to have people go to the website and fill out their investment criteria and tell us what you're looking for. And then we can help you do that. Another thing, we are helping a lot of people who are trying to do 1031s right now. And anyone that's trying to do a 1031, we kind of get them to the top of the list so that we can help you guys get those completed. So it's a great opportunity if you're selling something here and you want a yield play in either Spokane or other markets. Like I said, we can help you guys get that done.